I welcome you to this session and thank you for being consistent in these lectures. Today I would like to look at what we call the pedagogical principles of education. And these pedagogical principles, we can enumerate them. We are going to look at the pedagogical principle. One is called individualized teaching. Now, when we are looking at individualized teaching as a principle which is pedagogical, of course, the word pedagogical means a teaching style or a way of teaching, and that it is related to education as well. So the pedagogical principle called individualized teaching, how do we follow up this and follow this principle while teaching and while developing curriculum and also while assessing curriculum or assessing learning? Now, we don't look at educating a group. We educate each individual as a person, and each individual has got to be taken care of differently from the other. And the challenges of every child and a challenge of a child may not be the same as the other. So the principle of individualized teaching enables us to structure our content in such a way that it suits a specific learning need of a learner. Not to talk to everyone and you say good morning class, so what have you learned, and you're not specifically getting a learner to stand up and the learner telling you and the learner doing when you're observing, and then you see that the learner is struggling in a certain area. Even while developing content, we individualize this content. The language is also individualized in such a way that we say we communicate to a group. No, we communicate to an individual person, and we personalize this content in such a way that the one who is getting it sees it that it belongs to me. It belongs to me, it is mine, other than it is for everyone. So to be effective, we have got to make sure that the content we deliver or the content we build is individualized, takes care of individual needs, and also while assessing this content, we assess each individual. We don't allow chorus answers. We don't accommodate. Though we allow group work, we also need to be careful that a person as an individual also does it as an individual, to see that yes, the group can do, but what of each person in the group, so that everyone is educated in the process. That is the principle of individualized teaching. It cuts across and goes to videos. When you are speaking to a video, you don't say, you people, I'm here, are you seeing me? You say, I'm here to talk to you. You individualize the content so that the person who is hearing or listening to you sees that you're talking to him as a person, as one, and the other is also seeing that you're talking to her as one, not a group. We don't batch up people we speak to, or we also create practices for everyone as a single person. Now, the other principle is the principle of sequencing content. This principle is also called seriation of content. Seriation or sequencing of content is putting content in an order which we follow from simple to complex, and from known to the unknown. So we don't start by teaching learners things from the most complex to the simple. They will get confused. Even in writing, even in your introduction of the lesson. If there is something that is complex, you start from the simple side of it. You also start from where the learners know to introduce a concept which they don't know, and you use the language which they commonly use or they commonly know to introduce a concept which they apparently may not be knowing, so that it is simple to complex. So content taught at kindergarten is made for kindergarten. If the curriculum is for kindergarten, the language we use is kindergarten language. And if the curriculum is for primary, the language we use in this curriculum and in the arrangement of the content is the content for primary. And also when you see that the content is to be produced for someone in secondary, it is made in a language which is a secondary language and tertiary language. Those who are studying masters, the content is structured to communicate a mastery language. And those who are studying a doctorate, the language is all language and practices, even the theories are structured in such a way that they capture the doctoral language and doctoral concepts. So we have to be careful as curriculum developers. We don't teach square roots in kindergarten. When we draw learners to square roots, you have lost them. You don't say if the learner is learning 2 times 2 in top class, that 2 times 2 is 2 squared also. But you're not telling the learner that this is 2 squared, because the learner has not, the content has to be in a series. There is a stage where that content will be ripe and ready to be taught to the learner, but at that stage it is not suitable to use such kinds of concepts and such kinds of words. So a curriculum developer has to be with that perspective. What I'm developing today, what is the sequence in which this content is going to be delivered year by year, and by the end of the term or end of the year, and what objectives will be achieved, so that they are set in a sequence from simple to complex, from known to unknown, in that order. And that is a step-by-step order. Then the other principle is the principle of readiness. Readiness, or others read it as readiness, but we call it readiness, which translates to being right and being at a state which is prone, and it's a state which is prepares a person to be in a position ripe to receive a certain concept. So we say that as the ground being set for the learner to receive the concept today, was that ground laid by the previous concepts? This is readiness. If we are to teach the map of Uganda, can the learner be able to draw a map of the class, or can the learner draw the map of the school? If the learner cannot draw the map of the school and locate every aspect or components within the school, then that learner is not ready to learn the map of Uganda, which is larger. This is also a complementary principle to that of sequencing content. Because if content has not been in order, so you are teaching the map of Uganda in as your first lesson, when the previous lesson does not teach about the map of the school, then it means that you have just bumped into things. Learners are not ready to learn the map of Uganda. When they attempt to learn it, they will just cram it. They will not know the meaning of what they are actually studying. That's why you'll find that the concept of campus and all those things, because they were introduced at a phase where learners were not ready to receive them, When you ask a learner where is the north, the learner will point in the skies, on the clouds. Where is the south? The learner will point at the ground, because the compass that the teacher draws in class, actually that's where the compass faces. And is that the real meaning of the north and the south, or the east and the west? The learner is not ready to draw this compass which is on the chalkboard if the learner has not been taken outside the class and showed that face this side, that side, where the sun is coming from, or where the sun is waking up from. That is where we call the east, and where the sun is setting, that's where we call the west, or where the sun is going to sleep. Of course, for kindergarten, that language can be used. So here, the principle is readiness. We ask ourselves what we are teaching today. Are we ready to teach it, or are the learners ready to receive its knowledge, values, and skills? Or otherwise, we need to teach something to make them ready to receive the next lesson. That is readiness. Then there is also the principle of motivation. The learning should be motivating and should be motivated. So learners have to be motivated in order to enable them happily and joyfully go ahead to learn. So when a learner contributes a response, has to be appreciated. That is intrinsic motivation. If the learner says, I can do this, can I help here? Let the learner also participate in the lesson. That is intrinsic motivation. Clapping for the learner, dancing for the learner, and then also entrusting the learner with some tasks that those ones help the learner to grow, and then help the learner to appreciate that he is also worthy of doing it. And those help the learner to actually grow both mentally, and also in skills, and also in values. So here we can also complement what we call extrinsic motivation, which comes with external rewards, such as a sweet is there, an umbrella is here, made out of papers, and then the learner gets happy that because of what he has done, he has been able to get, or she has been able to get something. So those are in the lesson where delivering the curriculum. We see that they should be part and parcel of the lesson, so that the learner is motivated during reading, motivated also during the face-to-face learning, or even in an online lesson. The lesson should be very amazing and also interactive in nature, and at the same time the lesson should be appealing. If it is written content and there are materials developed to facilitate the curriculum, they should be active. They